Maintenance calls on the rental properties usually happens on days when I'm out on shoots, but this time, lucked out 2 days out from my next production, the AC at my house stopped working. It was the outdoor condensing unit. The fan was running, but the compressor was not turning on. Capacitor's original 2019 when I had this system installed. Local service tech's going to charge between $400 and $600 to replace a capacitor, parts, and labor. I've been through this before, so knew what to check and how to solve it, plus a little assistance from YouTube University. Got a replacement part from a local supplier in town. It was about $50. So money saved there. Same day, next house, over to the rental. Condensing unit not turning on. In this case, the fan and the compressor failed to start. That should have been a clue to me that it's probably not the same problem, but I assumed just coincidentally it'd be a capacitor also. It wasn't. It was the condensation line was all plugged up. So shop vac, blew some air in there, cleared all the dust and debris out, and cost zero. Service tech, $250. All right, evening before. Location's only 90 minutes away. I'm working as a local. It's up in Austin. But I booked a hotel for tonight 11 minutes from location because my back is still not 100%. And the worst thing for it is sitting in vehicles. So I want to get the 90-minute drive out of the way tonight, stretch, get my back nice and loose, and in the morning I only got to sit in the truck for 11 minutes. So worthwhile out-of-pocket expense. I got a hotel room for $101 with 2 queen-size beds. Well, diet fail. Only drove 30 minutes. I had to stop. Man, just 30 minutes in the van and my back's all jacked up again. Stretched, I feel good. So I got an hour to go, so I should go 30 minutes and stop the second time. Love it on the days when you park right outside your setup. Didn't even have to pull the carts out of the truck today. All right, I'm gonna grab a large or medium-sized reflector. Interviews and B-roll at an apartment complex undergoing major renovations, new ownership. The thing I enjoy most about working as a freelancer in media is the exposure we get to all these other businesses, trades, investment vehicles. I've worked on a number of real estate projects over the years, which is what gave me the courage originally to start investing in single-family homes. And then I moved on to investing in some apartment complexes similar to this deal as a passive investor, a limited partner, or what's known as a syndication. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those deals that were closed in like 2019, 2020, 2021, when interest rates were really low, are really struggling and failing now. And I suspect this project may have been one of those cases. New owner due to the previous syndicator failing to refinance. Commercial loans are not 30-year terms like residential. They're like 3 to 5 year notes here in the U.S., variable interest rate. Most of the operators in that year span went with interest only, so they weren't even knocking down principal, which includes one I invested in San Antonio, large complex on over 10 acres, and it foreclosed in either June or July this year, and I lost all of my original investment capital, which is equal to essentially 2 Burano bodies. I'm in another one that is better managed, doing better area, better occupancy, and I think they're going to be able to weather the storm. But what's killing all this commercial real estate are these high interest rates, because all of the previous deals are on 3 to 5 year terms that were projected based on like 3.5% to 5% interest rates. So they just can't cash flow and support 8%, and they're unable to refi because they've got essentially negative equity at that point because the cap rates have lowered or the values have lowered on the property relative to the new payment at the new interest rate. So, man, I am just hopeful my other investments can hold out until we have a lower interest rate environment. I got into those investments to have more of a passive position. They all kick off like 6 to 8% per year. Your initial investment, you're getting per annum 6 to 8% paid. Some pay monthly, some pay quarterly. So I was just looking for cash flow like my single family rental houses without having to self-manage and deal with maintenance and having the volatility of, one tenant stops paying and my cash flow stops. And then I'm negative cash flow. Like 2019, 20, 21, the payments were being issued, but I'd say mid to late 2021, even the quarterly distribution stopped as the interest rates climbed. So I'm not even receiving any cash flow off of those. And now I'm just hopeful I can get back my original principal and hopefully that preferred return and maybe a little appreciation when interest rates correct, provided they hang on. All right, next day, shooting a little B-roll and interviews. It's a golf package, kids golf. Wanted to get the Burano out for this one. Did everything on 2 lenses, the 28 to 135 and the Sony 200 to 600 for some long lens action shots. Mix of real time and high speed. Beck booming for me on the interviews. We just ran one of my older Sony UHF wireless kits, block transmitter directly to the Burano, so Beck could be hands-free and untethered. Previous vlog had some good feedback, excellent discussion in the comments, career versus health. I owe some responses to some well thought out comments in there. I apologize, just been shooting the last couple days, but I will respond to each one of those. So my back is still out. It looks like it's going to be a 3rd week. You can see here operating, just my hips aren't quite right. My spine, I'm still like curved to the left, even though I'm staying active with the stretching. I got in the pool after the shoot here at the golf course. That loosened me up a bit. But every time I get in the van, it just tightens up and hurts. So all of this investing is front of mind right now because of my current ailments and recovery. All this real estate investing I've done all originates from income earned from working in the media business, mostly in camera. And I saved for traditional retirement from my early 20s up to age 34 is when I realized I think I need to switch over and look for things that are going to generate passive income earlier than age 60, because I don't think I'm going to be able to continue to do this career I love, the physical side of it, in my late 50s. So at 34, I stopped saving in a IRA. I had a 401k at the time, but I've since rolled it into an IRA. And that's when at age 34, 35, I bought my first rental property. That was 11 years ago, and managed to accumulate a few more. I've since sold a few, reinvested, put a little bit more back in the stock market. I'm in some syndications. Last 3 months, cash flow and income has been horrible. The bookings for shoots like dropped off a cliff for me beginning of August. I didn't work much in August. September I ended up only having 4 shoot days. I had multiple projects in the calendar that unraveled and canceled, including the one where I drove all the way to New Mexico, spent like 10, 12 hours behind the wheel only for it to cancel, turn around, got home. I got paid 2 travel days for my driving time, but 4 shoot days. And then now I don't have, most of my clients are net 30 and 60 days to get paid. In the business checking account, I keep a minimum balance large enough to cover 2 months of business expenses. That includes the payroll as well as all the other overhead costs on the media side. And last couple months, I've had to transfer from my business savings to maintain that minimum balance in the business checking. Fortunately, this week I had 3 checks come in all on the same day. They were all from like super slow pay jobs from many months ago. But fortunately, that was enough of a balance to cover the month of November. So anything that was above that, I moved over to business savings, slowly restoring what I drew the last couple months. So I'm hopeful the media business stays chugging along now. We're getting close to the election. I think once we get outside the U.S. presidential election, work will pick up again, and I can restore the balance on my business savings side. Camera was at Sony service for about a week and a half to repair the broken HDMI port. Total cost was about $450, parts and labor. I was so relieved. I was worried it was going to be like a main board that costs $2,500 and another $1,500 in labor to swap it out. And thank you, Sony. The more I use this camera, the more I'm growing to enjoy it. I thought I was going to struggle with a cube-shaped body because I prefer shoulder work and traditional E&G style. But running various E-mount lenses, and now that I got the Rush Design VCT pad on there that is super lightweight, plus the shape handle extension, feels nice and neutrally balanced. I don't have too much weight on my right hand in the grip. It's predominantly on my shoulder. Still working on the viewfinder. I extended it forward with a longer NATO rail and a different clamp on the handle. Still a little funky. It's kind of floppy and flexy. The factory eyepiece uses a mirror box, so then you got to have the little 90-degree aftermarket flipper to switch from eyepiece to looking directly at the screen. So I instead switched to the mirror box delete using this straight tube from Bright Tangerine. But now the viewfinder is a little bit longer, which is why I had to go with a longer NATO rod. And now the tilting mount from Sony doesn't have enough friction to accommodate the longer eyepiece. So it sags and flops. So I need to find an aftermarket solution for that. I don't want to buy a whole big complicated, really weight more than complexity. I don't want to add a bunch of new brackets and do a whole new top end with like a cheese plate and a sliding top handle and a heavy duty EVF mount. But I am looking for just that one component to go from NATO to the EVF screen that's got more friction, that's also adjustable. Hope that makes sense. Maybe I'll cover that in greater detail in an upcoming vlog, and I should post that on the Burano user group. So we stopped for lunch. We had one subject remaining to interview that wasn't available until after lunchtime. So we staged the gear back in the building. I put the camera in the truck. I initially was going to leave it in the office, and I thought, no, I should put it in the truck where it's secure. Offloaded footage over lunch and then came back for one last interview. Wrapping. Just getting everything reset to defaults. Collecting batteries that need to charge overnight. I don't have a good home for the Burano in the truck. I'm thinking of adding another touch and go for VCT plate either on the countertop, or I may add one to the top of the tool chest. I think I got room for 2 cameras up there. But nah, I don't know. I don't like either option. There's too many loose items over there that can fall and hit the camera. Like I've had the Easy Up tent has fallen a few times. It is strapped in, but it's just a bad angle. All right, little sunstrokes. Moving on.